Hi everyone, welcome in. While people are entering this live stream, feel free to say what part of Houston you are from or what school you are with in the comments below. Also, please share this link with your friends to join. Thank you.
Okay, hi everyone. So we're gonna start the event now, but you can allow your friends to continue joining. Um, but we're gonna start now. So hi everyone. Our names are Eshna and Yashvi, and we're excited to be your host this evening. As a member of Mental Health America's Youth Advisory Board, a group of young leaders hoping to improve mental health equality and awareness across Greater Houston, we're so excited to launch the Summer Speaker Series today. The Summer Speaker Series is designed to raise awareness around important topics of mental health. To kick off today's series, we're honored to welcome Dr. Ann Friedman, who will be sharing insight on mindfulness, a powerful tool for well being. Now, before we begin, I would just like to take a few minutes to introduce mindfulness, why it matters, and clear up a few common misconceptions. The present moment on purpose, with openness and without judgment. It means being aware of your thoughts, emotions. You can practice mindfulness through meditation or simply by bringing awareness to everyday activities like eating, walking, or even just listening. But why are we talking about mindfulness today? Today's world moves at a very fast pace, and it's easy to feel stressed, distracted, or overwhelmed, especially with the demands of school life, social life, and constant digital connectivity. Mindfulness offers a way to pause, restart, and stay in the present. It's been shown to reduce stress and anxiety and improve focus and emotional well being. That's why mindfulness is becoming more common in schools, sports programs, and mental health support, because it gives teens a practical tool to manage everyday challenges and build a stronger sense of balance. Now, despite its popularity, mindfulness is often misunderstood, so let's clear a few things up. First, mindfulness isn't just about clearing your mind or stopping your thoughts. It's about noticing those thoughts without getting swept away with them. Second, you don't need to meditate for hours. Just a few minutes a day can make a meaningful difference. Third, mindfulness isn't religious or mystical. While it has its ancient roots, it's practiced today in a simple and secular way. And finally, mindfulness isn't always about feeling calm. It's about being present, even when things are messy and stressful. And that's when mindfulness can help the most. As we continue, I invite you to stay open and curious. Mindfulness is a skill, and like any skill, it develops with practice.
Thanks, Yashvi. It is really important to understand mindfulness before we can truly go into its applications. Now, it is my true pleasure to introduce Dr. Ann Friedman, a leader in the field of mindfulness who has dedicated her life to helping others cultivate calm, clarity, and compassion in a fast paced world. Dr. Friedman is a clinical psychologist, educator, and certified mindfulness facilitator. More importantly, she's someone who lives and breathes the practice of mindful awareness. Over the past 2 decades, she's not only studied the science of the mind, but also immersed herself in the experience of mindfulness, attending silent retreats, learning from renowned teachers, and adapting ancient practices for modern life. She holds certifications from UCLA's Mindful Awareness Research Center, has trained in compassion based programs at Emory University, and has worked with youth focused organizations like Mindful Schools. Dr. Friedman brings mindfulness into schools, nonprofits, corporate boardrooms, and spiritual spaces, not as a trend, but as a tool for resilience, emotional intelligence, and healing. But what makes her approach so impactful is her ability to meet people right where they are, whether it's a child dealing with anxiety, a professional managing burnout, or a community recovering from trauma. Today, she'll be sharing insights that are rooted in research but deeply personal, whether you're completely new to mindfulness or have regular practice. Please welcome Dr. Ann Friedman.
Thank you, Ashna and Yatvi. It's so wonderful. And mindfulness has been very, very important in my life. I will tell you that I trained as a psychologist at University of Houston, UT Health Science Center, and I did my postdoc at Baylor College of Medicine. And in 2006, I actually had my house flood. My mom started having brain seizures. I had a bad health checkup. Stress big time started happening in my life, and I had panic attacks. I had studied the brain for 7 years, and I never thought anything like this would happen to me, and it did. And I am very grateful for that, because that is what propelled me into mindfulness. And I've never had another panic attack since 2007. It was a game changer for me. So I love sharing it with others because it's a powerful tool. So first slide, please. So you all are under a lot of stress. This is a tough time of life when you're, thinking and preparing for your future, don't know what you want to be. The vast majority of youth do not, and colleges want you to say what you want to study, and you're going, I don't know, or I could have 3 or 4 things. It's very, very difficult. Parents are giving a lot of pressure. How are your grades? What's going on with your college apps? And that can be really difficult. The social and personal changes. So we know that 95% of you are on social media, and that many of you are on, about a third of you are on consistently. And we know that it is increasing anxiety and depression for people who are on 3 or more hours a day, and that it is also potentially changing your brain. But social media does create a lot of stress. Many of you can feel overbooked. I had one child come into my office and say, I've got gymnastics on Monday and choir on Tuesday and this on Wednesday, and I have no time to get my homework done. And I feel like I can't do anything well. It's a time when it's difficult. You're learning how to relate and get a sense of who you are. And there can be conflicts with your peer group, your parents, with teachers even. And current events right now are not particularly positive. I mean, you're hearing wars in the world, and is America getting involved? Lots of destruction of DEI, lots of bashing of all sorts of, minority groups. And it's a scary time for many, many people. And then your bodies are changing, and it creates body image issues. So just so many issues swirling at any given time. It's a challenge. Next slide, please. So when we are under stress, this is adults, kids, everyone, you have adrenaline coming down into your body and cortisol. And we need these if we need to get something done or move quickly, run out and get a child in the street. We need that. It gives us energy. But what we know is that when it sits in the body for any length of time, it can actually make us sick. So it affects every system of the body negatively if you get too much of it. And you do have stomach aches, you do have headaches, you do have shoulder and neck tension. It's normal if you have too much cortisol. So one of the keys that we need to be doing is processing it. Next slides, please. So traditional self-care is relaxing, sleeping, exercising is one of the best ways to process cortisol. Of course, eating right and connecting with others also processes cortisol very well. The problem is if you go to sleep, but you can't turn off your thoughts, which during the panic attacks, I could not. I was up for nights just flipping out about this and that and what's going to happen, and it's awful, and it was not fun. I was lying in bed but not sleeping. And or if you're with people but you're really not able to connect because you're thinking about, oh, I got to go home and study for this test, and I don't really get this material, and what's going to happen? I'm going to fail it. You're not really present, and the cortisol is coming down. So learning how to handle this mind is critical. Next slide, please. So if you were to take your thumb and put it in the palm of your hand and fold your hand down, you've roughly made a model of our brain, human brain. So your forearm would be the spinal cord coming up your back. And then your wrist is like your brain stem, where automatic processes go on, breathing, blinking, swallowing, those things. And then your brain's bigger than your fist, but it's roughly, close. And then this part in the middle here is where your thumb is. It's the red part in this slide, and it's called the limbic system. And it has a key piece on it called the amygdala. So it is your threat detector. You may have heard this in school. When you have a potential threat headed toward you, you have one of three reactions: fight, flight, or freeze. And this whole back of the brain is responding to keep you alive, to keep you safe. And it's critical. We need it. The problem is we're not being chased by bears coming out of the woods anymore. And this brain is often reacting like it is being chased by a bear, like it's super serious. And what happens when this part of the brain reacts, it is metaphorically, not really, like we flip our lids, but we disconnect, literally disconnect from the front of our brains. And this is where the prefrontal cortex, higher level thinking, impulse control, and judgment take place. So yours is not even fully developed. It doesn't fully develop. They keep pushing it back. Now they're thinking 27, 28. So that's why teens tend to be more impulsive, lack judgment sometimes, doing things because it's not even fully developed yet. It is developing, and this is a time when it is developing. The teen brain is the second busiest time of brain change in the human species, and your brain is pruning and building connectivity. So what you do really matters, because whatever you're doing is building those areas of the brain, and what you're not doing is getting pruned away. Next slide, please. So I had a question from the group about gender differences in teen brains, and there are some, we know that. So boys tend to have more connection across hemispheres, and it affects, they have stronger visual spatial kind of functioning, where girls, their areas of the brain are stronger within, and it's more social emotional functioning. And they also tend to mature faster. So your brain grows gray matter and white matter, which is the cushiony stuff that keeps the gray matter intact. And girls grow more, and boys prune faster. So it doesn't mean every boy is going to be better at visual spatial, or there could be girls who are phenomenal, or vice versa. Some boys can be very, very connected emotionally and socially. It's not, I don't want to say it's straight across the board. Everybody's different, okay? But they do see some differences in teen brains. And this would be normal, adult brains too. Next slide, please. So, as they were saying at the beginning, mindfulness is paying attention to the here and now with an openness, curiosity, and kindness, or no judgment. So that's not so easy to do. It's not. How easy is it to even pay attention? Are you fully aware of everything in the here and now? And then the brain, because of that back part that is so focused on survival, it is constantly assessing. Is this a good situation for me or not? Is this person okay or not? It is constantly judging to keep you safe, but it's not so helpful most of the time. And I'm going to be explaining that. Next slide. So the here and now can include your thoughts, your feelings, your body sensations, your needs. What am I needing right now? And the environment around you. So it's a lot to absorb. Most of us are living from here up and so disconnected from our bodies. We're just unaware of what kind of sensations are going on. You know, we might be getting something done on the computer, but we're not aware that our mind, of all the thoughts going through of, oh my gosh, this is just whatever. She's not going to like this paper I'm writing. I don't know what she wants me to write. All the thoughts that are flooding through, or that we're anxious in the moment. We're not aware. We're just pounding through on activity. And I think some of us feel more like human doings than human beings. And what we're trying to do is a little balance here. Next slide, please. So mindfulness is a natural ability. And I'm going to invite some of you to maybe write in the chat room or chat box when you have felt really present, really open, like, wow, I'm just taking this all in. It's just so interesting, and I'm just absorbing it. People experience it in many different ways. So I'm just curious, what might be some of the ways you've experienced it? So I'm guessing some of you might have said in sports where you're like running or you're just playing sport and you just feel like you're in the zone. That's mindfulness. Or you're an artist or a singer and you're just, in performance and just you lose all sense of self and you're just like there, fully present, absorbing it. Or if you've ever fallen in love with someone and you're just staring at them and taking them in, and with no judgment, just curiosity, if you will. So it happens for many people in nature. You're looking around going, wow, look at that bird, or look at this tree, and just, again, absorbing. Next slide, please. But we know that the human mind is not very present. About what they did was they gave 2,400 people, 2,400 people around the planet cell phones, Harvard University, many, many years ago. And they had them report when their cell phone buzz, tell us if your mind's on what you're doing or not. And rate how happy you are. And what they found is that humans across the globe reported that about half the time they're not thinking about where they are. They're thinking about something else. So it's a gift to be able to plan for the future or to reflect on the past, nice memories or whatever. But we don't want our minds dragging us there. So, for example, if I'm cleaning up after dinner, but I'm thinking about something that happened at work today that I didn't like, then I'm not really, cleaning up and paying attention to the warm water and the dishes and the feeling of the soap or whatever. I'm sitting there going, I can't believe this man did this. Why did he say that? And cortisol is coming down in my body then. And can I do anything about it in that moment? No. But it's going to make me sick, all tense, and I might be clenching my jaw and doing the dishes really fast because I'm upset about something I can't do anything about right now that happened in the past. And it's not helpful. It's not helpful. And what they found through the research is that while we do have good memories and we think about fun things coming up, trips and vacations, a little more often our mind goes to the negative, something that's bugging us. Next slide, please. So what happens is we're in this zone of well-being where we feel calm and alert, we're feeling good, just present, but then something happens and it's going to throw us into a high zone. So we get upset, angry, irritable, anxious, a high energy feeling. And then over time, what happens is we can't maintain it. And we drop into a low zone. It's called hyper and hypoarousal. And when we're in hypoarousal, it's like, I don't even care anymore. Whatever happens, I don't care. And we feel sad and isolated, exhausted, depressed. And what we're using mindfulness is to get back into our zone of well-being, because either of those isn't sustainable and helpful. The stress will keep coming. It's how you deal with it that matters. Next slide, please. So one of the things I want to tell you is to use stop. When you notice, I'm getting really upset. I'm typing out this paper and my shoulders are up to my ears and my heart's beating and I'm trying to get this done fast. And stop, take a breath, observe. Oh, I don't need to be going like this. I can do the paper just like this. I can relax my shoulders. I can relax my body. And you might notice what thoughts are causing the stress. And then proceed. Next slide, please. And what this fight, flight, freeze is your sympathetic nervous system. You probably learned this in high school biology. But you have another system, the parasympathetic, which is on your back. It's your vagus nerve that goes from the base of your brain down to your tailbone, into your guts, ribcage, and face. It's that nerve that you see it's the longest nerve of your body. And when we do long, slow, deep breaths, it activates and it relaxes us. So I'm going to invite you to do this breathing with me. We're going to breathe in through the nose for the count of 3, hold for 2, and you can breathe out of the nose or the mouth for the count of 6. The exhale is what activates the nerve, and you want it to be about twice the length of the inhale. Okay, so you could do 5, 3, 10. It needs to be about twice the length, whatever you want to do with the count. But try to do this with me now. Ready? Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale all the way down to the belly. The belly should expand. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. And breathing naturally. Notice how your mind and body feel. So hopefully you are feeling more relaxed. When my husband went to the doctor, they said, Mr. Friedman, your blood pressure is high. Do some long, slow, deep breathing. His blood pressure dropped 20 points, just like that. And it also facilitates our digestion because when we're all tense and stressed, our tummies are usually tensed. So this is a quick hit thing to do. Of course, if you're hanging out in class, you're not going to be breathing out of your mouth. You breathe it out of your nose, but you can do long, slow, deep breathing any time of day. Don't close your eyes if you're driving. And you can do it before a test to relax you. It will help you think better. It will help you connect more with your prefrontal cortex. Next slide, please. So you can also bring mindfulness into the day. So most of you aren't going to be meditators like I am. When we meditate, what we're doing is noticing when our mind drifts off thinking and we bring it back. And what we know through science, it works like building a muscle in your arm, doing repetitions. The more you bring your mind back, it thickens the gray matter in your brain. Literally, it's a mental gem. But you can use daily activities as well. So, for example, I take a mindful shower every morning. So if I get in the shower and all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh, you got to do this, you got to no, right now, Anne, all you're doing is feeling the water hitting your body, smelling the soap, relaxing, feeling it trickle, the warmth, just enjoying the shower. And when my mind drifts, nope, come back here, come back and just enjoy the shower. Same thing with eating. Instead of just gobbling it down, you're like savoring it. The smells, the taste, the textures, the colors. And we're coming back to the moment through our senses and our bodies because they are always in present moment. So just noticing, nope, right now I don't need to think about that test. I need to just taste this food and just savor it, slow down and enjoy it. You can do it walking. You can count your steps, or you can just feel your legs moving and stepping and moving, or just staying wherever you're walking and looking around. And when your mind leaves there, goes back to school, nope. Right now, I'm just in this park or walking down the street, looking at all the houses and cars. Don't need to think about anything right now. Just looking at what's around me. Or driving, again, actually being in the car. So most of you who are driving now have probably realized you can drive and not see the road. You can get to your destination and it's like you weren't even, driving. And you missed your. What we're doing is every time the mind leaves the car, nope, come back to the car. I'm just looking at the cars in front of me, looking at the sky, feeling my body in the seat, feeling my hand on the wheel, just relaxing and being present. Next slide, please. So the human mind, and this is what I was saying about how we activate all the time, it is constructing and predicting, and it's doing this to make sense of the world for you. It's to keep you safe. But what it's doing with all of its evaluations and interpretations is often causing us suffering. So what we're doing is learning to drop our thoughts and just notice, can I know what my mind is telling me is true? Next slide, please. So you have probably heard about this thing called cognitive behavioral therapy, and we all need it, every single person on this planet, because what we know about this brain is it's trying to understand what it cannot understand. Okay? So, for example, if you and I are friends and I walk by you in the hallway without saying hello, what's the first thing you think? Well, if you're like most kids and adults, the first thing you think is the person's mad at you. They didn't say hello. What did I do? And then you're sitting there trying to figure it out. It's called personalizing. So we jump to this conclusion, and then we start going, well, we talked yesterday. It was fine. And he can't be mad about that. We're trying to figure it out. When you could have been zoned out and literally looked and didn't see me, or you're upset about something and you don't want to talk to anyone, or you're just, lost in thoughts, whatever. Just it could be all sorts of things that don't have to do with me, but now I'm thinking it's about me. And we personalize all the time things that aren't personal. So even if somebody's very, very kind of curt with you and says, why'd you do that or something, it doesn't even mean they're mad at you. They could have just had, a fight with their best friend or something, and now you're the next person they saw and they're in sort of an irritable mood and they're overreacting. And you're thinking, oh, what did I do? They're all upset with me. No, it's transferred from something else. Or we tend to overgeneralize. Somebody didn't come to the meeting. Oh, they don't want to do the project. Well, maybe they forgot about it. Maybe they couldn't come. Something happened. Maybe, their cell phone's dead and they have no way of calling you to tell you that they couldn't get a ride. You don't know, but you're making this assumption, your brain is, to try to explain something. We also, like if a friend is sitting there looking down while you're talking and, people think, oh, you're not listening to me. Well, I work in hospitals and places all the time where people will tell me they look down when they're really trying to concentrate because it just helps with all the distractions going on around them. So it means nothing, but your brain's going, oh, he doesn't like what I'm saying, or, she's not listening to me. You don't know that unless you ask, is this really interesting to you? Is this something that you're into talking about? Then you'll know, but not from just, looking at them. We think we can read someone's mind, and you can't. We catastrophize. We take something that happens and, oh my gosh, it's going to be a disaster. And all of us are doing this kind of thing. It may not happen to you often, but my guess is most of this has happened to you. If something happens, now I'm going to get kicked off the team and I'm never going to be on a team again. And, I'll not, whatever. Your mind's just creating a story. We are great movie makers in our brains, and it's not helpful. Most of the time, the movie is fiction, not fact. Okay. And we also label people. So if you saw me, for example, screaming at my kids in a grocery store, and the little kid is bawling his eyes out, maybe a little 4-year-old boy or something, your first thought might be, she's a bad mom. But if I told you that I'm a single mom and I just lost my job and I don't know how I'm going to pay for the rent or the groceries, does that make you see me differently? So it's a bias we have. We attribute to character and label and judge when we don't know what people are going through. But the brain's trying to figure things out. So the brain is a gift and it can do a lot of figuring out. But what we have to do is back up when we're making judgments that we can't know are true. Those assumptions will get you into trouble and cause suffering. Next slide, please. We also want to be giving ourselves lots of self-compassion. So what we know is that most of us have this inner critic. And instead of just reflecting like, oh, next time I'm going to do it this way, maybe that would be better. Instead, we've got this little voice going, why did you do that? You should have done this. Why didn't this, da, 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 da. Just beating yourself up. I did it wrong. People don't, beating yourself up. What we know about that inner critic is it actually sabotages us. So for example, if I'm a dieter and I break my diet and then my inner critic goes off, you're going to be fat all your life. Something's wrong with you. You're never going to lose weight. It's just hopeless. What am I going to do next? I'm going to go eat because it's hopeless. I'm not going to try out for the football team again because it's hopeless. I'm not going to work hard in this grade for this grade because it's hopeless. So the inner critic is not helpful. Reflection is, how might I do this better? Maybe I need to study sooner. Maybe I need to do something, but drop that critic. And all of this requires us to notice your thoughts. And that's what we're learning to do with mindfulness, is to notice, there's a thought. There's a thought. Don't need that thought. Not helpful. Hi thought, bye thought, don't need you. Next slide, please. So some of the things that we might say, and what we're doing is when we're back here with all these distortions and biases, it's like we're looking through a tunnel and we can't see reality. And we need to open perspective. So we say things to ourselves like, wow, Anne, what you're dealing with is hard. It would be for most people. I'm here for you. We're talking to ourselves. It sounds weird, self-talk. It works. May you accept yourself just as you are, Anne, perfectly imperfect like everyone else. You're the best Anne you can be, right? Your history, upbringing, religion, culture, experiences in life, biological temperament make you the perfect you. And you make mistakes. And mistakes are normal. Everyone makes them. They're opportunities to learn. And you're doing the best you can. It was the best you could do today because you were really tired. You didn't sleep much last night. Or it was the best you could do today, Anne, because you skipped lunch and you were starving and, kind of running on fumes because you had so much going on. And every situation has ups and downs. This is normal. There's not a relationship on this planet that is always even and always happy. That's not reality. And whatever I'm dealing with, it's happened to millions of people on the planet today. There are no new human stories. Maybe COVID was new, but plagues and illnesses, were not. Pandemics were not. They're historical. Divorces, job losses, failing a class, pick a topic, having your fight with your best friend. Pick a topic, any topic. It's universal. And millions of people are also experiencing it right now. It's never just me, never just you. And everything is going to pass. It's temporary. And reminding ourselves of that can also help. So we're going to say things to ourselves to get ourselves back into reality. And we can even wish ourselves things like, may I be safe, may I be well, may I be healthy and strong. Send ourselves good wishes. So this is the tip of the iceberg with mindfulness. Mindfulness is huge, I promise you. There's so much to learn. I still work with a teacher, and I've been doing this since 2007. So, and it's a game changer. It really, well, I'll tell you, my sister came to me at one point 6 months in and said, "You're still so busy, but you seem way more laid back." I'm like, yeah, I don't have to do things like this. I can do things like this just as well. And I used to have that inner critic. And I said something to my husband about it about 5 years ago. He said, "Honey, I haven't seen that in so long, I forgot about it." So I'm telling you, for many people, this can really, really help. And I hope some of what I've told you today will help you. So that's the presentation. And now I think we're doing Q&A.
Thank you so much, Dr. Friedman, for that inspiring discussion on mindfulness. I learned so much about the importance of taking a pause and prioritizing your own well-being. Now we'll move on to the Q&A portion of today's event. Before we begin, this is just a reminder that anyone can put questions in the chat that they would like answered. But to start, how do you think mindfulness helps kids who've been through something hard or scary?
So I do a lot with trauma, if that's what you're speaking of. Yes. And have you ever heard of this book called The Body Keeps Score by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk? It's about trauma, and it's been on the bestseller list for over 3 years in America. And it's all about how trauma affects the body. And what we're doing with this is learning how to let it go through the body, through the breath, through all sorts of practices. We also know that trauma changes the brain. Actually, the amygdala, if you've been through, like, I don't know, child abuse or something, you're constantly scanning for what's going to happen next. Or if kids have beaten you up at school, you're constantly on the lookout for, what are they going to do to me now? And the amygdala grows. And what we know is it means you're more disconnected, and this part of the brain is not going to grow as much. And what we know is through mindfulness and loving kindness and care of people, that the amygdala will shrink back down and this part will grow again like it should. So it's critical, this kind of thing. Getting the help you need if you've been through some really traumatic experiences is critical. And we know that millions of people, huge percentages of people, are going through trauma or have been through trauma.
Okay, so the next question that we have is, what do teachers in schools usually think when they start doing mindfulness with students and staff?
So what do the teachers think?
Just like the teachers and administration in general.
So some of the schools are using it regularly. So breathing practices, instead of the teacher saying, be quiet. Instead, everybody turn your attention to feel your feet. How do your feet feel right now? And it's a way to get people to quiet down. and relax in their bodies. So it's being used in schools heavily now, but not all schools, unfortunately. And many schools still think it's some kind of weird thing like woo-woo. The US military does this. The US military is one of the biggest proponents on this. And the research from the military is huge on how it can help with daily functioning and trauma. They're doing it in the Veterans Administration. So teachers and administrators need to understand you incorporate this in the day and kids are going to function better because they're going to be less stressed and more connected here.
Wow, that's amazing. It's so incredible how important mindfulness is, and it's really important that more teachers and administrators acknowledge it because I feel like it can really help students. For our next question, what's the difference between being kind to yourself or self-compassion and thinking you're awesome or self-esteem? And why does it matter when life gets tough, what this difference is?
Yeah, so what we've actually, there used to be a lot of focus on like feeling great about yourself. I'm pretty, I'm smart, I'm this, I'm that. And what they actually have found is that most that really isn't as helpful as feeling um, a sense of well-being, a sense of well-being. Okay. So I'm good enough. I'm good enough. I make mistakes. I'm the perfect me. What we're saying is realistic phrases. Okay. When we say I'm awesome, but we don't really feel that way, it doesn't do anything. In fact, it reinforces because that other thought comes in. No, you're not. You're not awesome. So those kinds of sayings sometimes aren't as helpful as they can be with some people, but mostly saying things that are realistic, like I'm doing the best I can, and I'm the best version of me, and I am lovable, and I love people, right? Things that are more realistic.
Okay, so the next question that we have is, how does thinking about your thoughts and your feelings help you understand what you're good at and what's hard for you? So, like self-reflection.
Yeah. So we don't know how many thoughts we have a day. It's somewhere between 12,000 and 80,000 thoughts a day. Let's assume it's 12,000. It's a lot of thoughts, right? And the bulk of them you don't choose, meaning thoughts are popping in your head that you heard on YouTube or that your mom told you or that you learned at the church or the mosque or the whatever. They aren't your thoughts. Does that make sense? They're thoughts that you've seen somewhere. You should wear this, perfume because this is the one that everyone thinks smells great. It's not your thought, right? But it plants in our brains and we start having those thoughts. So what we're doing is beginning to notice our thoughts. Oh, and we have that ability as humans. It's called metacognition. Oh, and you just had this thought that you're talking too fast. Can I know that's true? No. Some of you might think I am. Some of you might think I'm talking slow. I don't know unless I ask, right? So I can notice the thought without reacting to it, right? Oh, can you know that's true? So what we do know is that when we're in the zone and feeling good about what we can do, we feel good. It literally feeds dopamine, feel good neurotransmitters in the brain. Like, I like writing this paper. It's really interesting studying this. And when we're doing things that we don't really like, we're resistant, right? It's like, gotta do this, don't really want to, and then you're doing it kind of halfway, and And that's human. But that tells you something about yourself. The things that you love, you're going to just plunge into. The things that are kind of, you're going to kind of resist more. But there's always that period of learning, which can be challenging. So inviting yourself to say, I might love this. Let me at least give it a little time. Let me try it and see. Because maybe once I get going with it, I'm going to be good at this.
Yeah, that makes sense. And for our fifth question, what do you do when kids think mindfulness is boring or too quiet?
Yeah, well, again, it doesn't have to be quiet. You're doing mindfulness if you're doing mindful eating, you're doing mindful showering, mindful walking. It doesn't have to be. You can also listen to sounds or to music. So if I were to play some music and you kept your mind on it, and then you noticed, oh, you got to do the test, you got to study for this, then your mind drift. Nope, mind, come back here. Right now, all I'm doing is listening to music. That's mindfulness. You can use sound. It's one of the anchors. Your ears are one of the anchors. Breath is an anchor, ears are an anchor, sight is an anchor, body sensations, and then taste and smell too. So it doesn't have to, you don't have to sit. And now there are guided meditations. When I started in 2007, there weren't. A bell rang and then a bell rang, and that was it. It was total silence. But now you can get online and someone will guide you through too. So there'll be talk. It isn't just all silence.
Well, thank you so much for answering our questions. Your responses were really insightful. And thank you for everyone who has joined us today for our first session of the Summer Speaker Series. And we're really grateful to our guest, Dr. Ann Friedman, for sharing her time with us, her insight, and her deep expertise on the topic of mindfulness. And so this is just our first session of the series, and we hope that our conversation today has offered valuable takeaways that you can carry forward. On behalf of our entire organizing team, thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you at our next session.
Thank you all.